There we go.
Oh, there it is.
All right, perfect.
All
Okay.
right, I've already started recording, so I'll just go. What's up, everybody?
Oh shit!
Welcome to episode 2 of the Kungpaokenny Podcast. I'm here with my boy Snorlax and a couple of my friends that you've seen from the last episode. It's Trivia Boy, it's Syndicate, YNTC Jason. I call them many names, but it is what it is. All right, we're here, guys. It's post Worlds semifinals. We had G2 Damwon, and then we had Suning Top Esports. Very spicy games, very good games. We're gonna start with some Damwon G2 coverage today. What did you guys think of those games? 3-1 for Damwon.
I'm gonna personally say that I didn't watch the entire games. I did review the games and see highlights and whatnot, but I think I predicted 3-1 Damwon on the last episode of the podcast.
Did,
Yeah.
I think most of us were wrong about the other semifinal, but I'll take this one at least.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, Damwon is so good. Holy moly! Like, I was definitely like, oh, they couldn't just be like. At Worlds, there's always there's always one Korean team that just completely demolishes the competition, like your SKTs, like your Samsung Whites. This year, it's Damwon. Like Damwon's fundamentals, the way they understand how they need to play the game to win, is impeccable. Like the only game that they lost against G2, like in this series, was they kind of limit tested their draft a little bit with the Fiora pick, but in the other 3 games, it was dominant. It never felt like G2 was going to win any of those 3 games, and especially in the game 4, although G2 made some mistakes, the fact that they ended the game at 1850 or something, it was ridiculous. I was so impressed with Damwon. I think, and a little bit of a spoiler later on, but I think they're gonna hard smash in the finals.
Okay, do we think that sorry, I forgot that. Was that 19-minute game the fastest Worlds game or something like that?
Yes, in history.
Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead, Alex.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I think one thing people like to say is that LCK is now better than best region in the world because if Damwon wins, and to that I'm just gonna say nah, that's not true. LCK is not good. It's just Damwon that's good. It's sort of the same argument. People are like, "Oh, EU's number 2 team," and it's like, no, it's literally just G2. Because if you compare that was insane, but if you compare DRX and Gen G to JDG and Suning, JDG and Suning are obviously going to destroy those 2 teams. And same with EU. Any team below G2. Maybe Fnatic, but any team below there just kind of shits the bed. So I feel like this year, even if Damwon wins Worlds, I would still assume that LPL is the number 1 region. But that depends how well Suning does in the finals. It was a close series. LPL still best region.
I think that's a reasonable statement just to say regardless. I mean, if you look at, the performances of all the various regions, NA is obviously the worst. We know that. We've been, saying that for years. Everyone's been saying that for years. But coming into this tournament, everyone was saying, LPL is number 1, EU is number 2, and then LCK is number 3. And even the 2-3 was a little bit contested. After this tournament, I don't know if you can say EU is the best region. It's just G2. LCK is definitely not the best region, it's just Damwon. But I think, there's a decent argument to keep LPL in the first seed just because of how well all of their teams have been doing. I mean, you saw Top beat Fnatic, you saw Suning beat Top. And now, Damwon beat G2 reasonably handily. So like you said, Alex, if Suning plays well against Damwon, 3-1, 3-2, which I'm not necessarily predicting, obviously, but if that does happen and it is close, we could really see that argument that, okay, well, Suning played well against Damwon. If they did better than Damwon, or if they did better than G2 against Damwon, that's China's number, 3 seed or 2 seed? So Actually, I think they're the
Suning's
3
the
seed.
3 seed, yeah, because
Yeah,
JDG
so
and
that's-
Top were in the finals.
Now, JDG got eliminated early by Suning, I guess, and Top Esports got eliminated by Suning. But like, what does that say that their number 3 seed is the one that's in the finals representing LPL?
I think the argument that LPL is the deepest region is correct. I think they definitely are. Although I think the thing is this year is that I think LCK wasn't T1 the spring split winners, and they took a huge drop off.
I mean, you can say that same about Cloud9, man. Cloud9 was probably the only team that was supposed to contest the world.
Cloud9.
Yeah, true.
Right?
I think as much as people like to say, oh yeah, like this region's better than this one, this region, like the whole argument, it all depends on how you define which region is better. It's like, is it the top team that's like, if your best team beats another region's best team, does that make your region automatically better? Some definitions, some people would consider that. Other, it would be like, oh, would your 4 seed beat our 4 seed? That kind of thing. So it is correct that LPL's 4 seed would probably beat LCK's 4 seed.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going by like, okay, which region has the best team, then I think LCK. Like obviously, I think they'll need to have repeated success, but I think since the regions are so close, this is actually the best. This is one of the best times for League. Like before, it was like every Korean team would just demolish everyone. But I actually think an European team, a Chinese team, or a Korean team can be the favorites / win any international event. So I think they're actually all 3 are really even if Damwon wins.
I agree.
So,
I don't know. I just like
I actually want to say that the teams have always been pretty close. It's just that Korea, they've sort of edged it out a little bit at Worlds. Think back to 2015, both Fnatic and Origin made it to semifinals. In 2016 was the only year that's actually like really Korean dominant. Maybe 2014 too, but then 2017, 2 Chinese teams made it to semifinals. But then like again, and then if you remember RNG SKT, that was an incredibly close series. So I want to say that. Yeah, I think all the teams like it's actually been really really close for a while. It's just that Korea just always edged it out a little bit. Then, they faltered in 2018, and then 20 faltered in 2019.
I would disagree historically. I think in 2015, like, didn't Fnatic get 3-0'd by Coup Tigers? I don't think they were very close at all. And in China, all of their teams, didn't make it out of groups. It's like in China that year. Only EDG did, and they got 3-0'd by Fnatic. So I don't think China was necessarily that good that year. And then you can say the year after that, like, G2 went 1-5 in groups. I think there hasn't been a time since the last until I would say around 2018 where all 3 regions are good.
2018,
the games.
The year where EU,
Yeah,
EU popped up in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, bit of a tangent, but it's hard to dispute LCK dominance over the past before 2018. But if we're talking, I guess maybe final point on this topic before we move back to the games. If we're talking, best region currently, it's a combination of, who's got the most ceiling and then who's got the most depth, at least in my opinion. And I think LPL definitely has the depth, and I think LCK might have the ceiling. But I think for, strength of a region as a whole, it's not necessarily about the ceiling, but where's the overall skill floor for, your worst team, arguably, or where's the average skill in your teams? Because that average skill is what's going to dictate, how much better everybody else above the average has to be to, do well in the region. So if you had everybody being a very, very close team, but a close team at a low average, then that's not necessarily, indicative of a really good region. But if you have an above average, league average, I guess, so to speak, and then you have a couple teams that are, at the top of that, I think that's more indicative of a stronger region, because you have to be, fighting a lot just within your own region to make it out of that region.
Okay. Sick. Very interesting discussion. I fuck with it.
Let's go back to the G2.
Let's go back to games.
Okay, no,
do you want me to?
I actually want to start off with like a question, like that'll like kind of run through this entire thing. How good is Damwon? Like, why is Damwon so good? Because like, okay, dude, a lot of people put, like, I think half the people would put Top as probably the number one contender to like win the tournament, and then the other half of people that I talked to put Damwon. And as we can see, like, Top lost to Suning pretty decently, pretty handily, and then Damwon just played really well against G2. So was the gap always really that big, or did they get better, or like, what do you guys think?
In my opinion, I predicted that Damwon. I said my top 4 was Top, Damwon Gaming, G2, and JDG.
Okay.
So I think Top kind of fell off as the tournament went along. I don't know if it was they were never really that good.
Yeah.
But I think they generally play through their solo lanes, so maybe like the patch kind of hurt them. But a lot of Tops, at least for Top esports, I think it's a lot of underperformance from players that kind of did them in.
Okay.
With Damwon, they've always been like the reason why Damwon is so good is that they never beat you off of risky plays. They always set up the play correctly.
Yeah.
Like it is very rare that Damwon goes for a play that's bad. Like they're not doing only 90-10 plays, which is like used to be the LCK standard. Like there is inherent risk in the plays that they make. But they play around what their champion strengths are so well. Like you can see, like when Canyon, like the way they play around Canyon, they always allow him to get a lead. The way they play around, at least in the G2 series, the way they play around TF, like the way they use TF ultimate is ridiculous. Showmaker is such a good TF, and that's just like one example of how good fundamentally like Damwon is.
Interesting. Thoughts from everybody else?
I think I'll go next. I mean, Steven, laid out a lot of the really good points. I think he's right in the fact that Top did underperform, and I think the patch did have a bit to do with it because they were playing through solo lanes. But Damwon, I think the other thing is, and people have talked about this, they prioritize a very specific thing when they're drafting, and then they just go out and execute it in such a way that they play it to perfection. And I think we mentioned this on the last episode of the podcast as well, but Damwon, if they pick an early skirmishing team composition, they will skirmish early. They will try to get advantages through fighting. If they pick a scaling team built around a specific player, they will make sure they protect and give resources to that player so that they can play safely, and then when they get to a major team fight, that player kind of just pops off and does everything that they need. And I think the thing is, you look at all of their games and they just don't make mistakes. It's like, it's a weird, like, it's almost like
mistakes, but they make very few.
They make very few. It's almost like the TL, if I would like, and again, North America on a completely different level than Damwon being much lower. But when, Damwon doesn't make mistakes, they let the plays, they make safer plays, but then even when they take, risks in trying to do things, they take the risks that are, okay, if the risk is, this, it's not going to be as bad as, if we risk this and lose it all. So I feel like they play safe, and then they wait for your opponent to kind of make a mistake, or they kind of get an early lead and kind of just not snowball it, but just choke you out slowly and slowly and slowly.
They toe the line. They know how to they know how to play League really well. Like, they're a very good team. They team gapped a lot of people, I feel like. That's like what I feel when I look at Damwon. I'm like, your teamwork and your decision making is just kind of a step above other people. Is like just the way that I watch the show. Anyway, let's get into the games themselves. Let's look at these drafts. Steven's pulled up the draft. We have game 1 right now of G2 versus Damwon. This game was a little confusing to me, personally. They got Lucian Lilia, but then they ended up running the Lucian bot lane, and then they ended up running the Sylas mid. Like, I don't know, this was a really strange game for me. I felt like G2 just like out 5-headed themselves. What do you guys think?
I think so. One thing I read, I think it was a SO analysis I read, is that G2 could have taken the Leona in, what is it, B4, B5. They were set up to take Leona because, I mean, your parent, I don't know, like, the fact that you're playing Rakan means they could have just taken Leona instead. So the Rakan pick didn't really make much sense to me. I think, and the reason I think they flexed Lucian bot this game is because TF Hecarim exert a lot of kill pressure on Lucian. Lucian is pretty much forced to go cleanse in this lane, so he's not going to have the TP goal pressure to match TF later on. And as cleanses down, he's pretty much a free kill. But yeah, they basically, G2 looks like they just, Mickey picked Comfort, I guess, because he pulled the Biofrost or whatever. He played Rakan. And then they basically like Perks, and then they just sacked mid lane. It's like, I mean, sacked bot lane. Perks is like, okay, it's okay. I'll take the Lucian. Caps, you play whatever you want. He takes Sylas, and well, didn't really work out too well for G2. I think they Giga outbrained themselves with this draft here. And Yankos didn't play that well either. Yankos played Lilia like a ganking jungler. If you play Lilia, you're supposed to be farming. You need to like power farm, use her incredibly high like efficient jungle pathing, but he didn't do that. He was forcing plays, and then he ended up so far behind in farm that he went for a dead man's plate after his first item. Yeah, after his jungle item, he went dead man's plate, and that shit was just depressing to watch.
Yeah, you're kind of mentioning it, I think, on the last podcast, that G2 kind of needs to cheese their way to get some wins. This is such a cheese draft. Like, I think the way they played, they were like, okay, Lucian bottom is kind of awful into most of the meta 80 carries.
Yeah.
I think even if you pick Leona, I think Tom Kench... Oh, wait, no, Tom Kench was banned.
Yeah, Tom Kench was banned by Damwon.
Yeah, why didn't
makes a lot of...
Yeah. I was really confused. They're like, you have Lucian, and then they have support counterpicks, so you're not going to win lane as Lucian, most likely, into Jhin, if they pick something that can kind of counter your engage. And you're playing against TF and Gangplank, so you're already disincentivized to hard trade, which is something you need to do on Lucian bottom, because the scaling is kind of poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this game, like, Perks was kind of in a terrible position, but I think he just thought, well, since we're G2 and we're not going to win bottom, it's not likely we're going to win bottom anyways, and we're going to have to play through Caps. They're just like, you know what, Caps? Sylas, you've been popping off with the Sylas into TF matchups, so I think it's more worth, or they thought it was more worth to just get Sylas on Caps. So with the sacrifice on bot lane, they're just like, you know what? Perks, just try and like build Manamute and scale up and just hope for Caps carry. It really felt like that in this game.
Okay, I have a little bit of a question about Sylas. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the second game, but before we do, I do have a question about Sylas. Why do you guys think is it just like a Caps counter pick is the only reason we're seeing it? Because in the second game, as we can see here, like Damwon pick it and they do the reverse matchup. Like Caps gets, wait, was that game 3 or game 2?
I know game 2 where Caps gets TF.
Right? Yeah. At one point they swap and Caps gets TF and Showmaker gets Sylas. So what do we think? Is Sylas like suddenly getting good again, or is it just comfort picks for these two players?
I mean, we talked about this, and I talked about it mostly because I like Sylas, and I said, I want to see more Sylas. Caps, and we talked about it on the last podcast, Caps has been playing a lot of Sylas just because he's, been doing well on it. I don't know if it's necessarily a comfort champion for him, but it's certainly something that he's looked good on throughout this tournament.
Yeah.
And when you look at the draft from game 1, I mean, like, Caps, if you're worried about, the whole Lucian bot with Gangplank pressure and TF pressure being able to come down there, if Sylas can take, TF ult, he gets the ability to, jump in somewhere. You take Renekton with TP, presumably, and that way you can have some level of matching side lanes. Other than that, ults aren't amazing. Leona ult on Sylas, actually, if you're stacking AP, does a fair bit of damage if you're ahead. But, like, I think it's more so just a comfort pick for Caps, and he had looked good on the Silas up until this point. So I think it's a fair decision to just say, what Steven said, we're going to stack bot lane, give Caps, something that he can play, something that he likes into the TF matchup in the mid lane, and hopefully, he's been our star player up to this point. Hopefully he can kind of carry us through this game 1.
Yeah.
No, anything else? Nope. All right, let's move on game 2 then.
Yeah, I think it's going to be also because this matchup was repeated in game 2. Yeah. TF actually beats Silas for the first 6 levels because it's a ranged into melee matchup.
Yep.
So he can always control a prio, and you can see this because they ran the matchup again in game 4, where Showmaker can just control the wave however, and then he had prio, so Kenny could just get double crab. In this game, though, Caps gets the TF into it.
Yeah, the reverse matchup.
The Fiora pick.
Yeah, and Damwon picked Fiora.
I want first before that. I just want to say I think the reason we see TF beating Silas is because he's been Silas's max Q is W now. If Silas max W, he can actually probably bully or brawl TF pretty hard early game. But I think the reason besides because Silas doesn't want to max Q now because they want to match TF's wave clear. So that's probably why we're seeing TF bully Silas more in these Worlds games. But as for the Fiora pick, ego, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, nobody wanted a Fiora skin. If you look at the comp, Jax looks perfect here. Bin would have picked Jax, honestly. Because you have TF. Chiat needs the gold card to stun you. Kindred needs the auto you. Camille's an auto attacker. Leona has the auto you to stun you. Is Jax not just perfect here? But also, if he doesn't go Jax, I think he needs to play a tank here. If you look at what his team wants to do, sort of. Oh, actually,
yeah. You have engaged with Silas and Ashe, so it's actually not necessary for.
Okay, yeah. If you actually, I guess they have good situational engage then, but Fiora is just massive ego pick because I feel like a lot of pro teams miss it. When you play Fiora, it's a very specific comp. It's not... Fiora is like Jax/Camille on steroids. Playing around a Fiora is imagine Nasus. Imagine you have a Nasus on your team in a pro game. You have to camp that shit constantly. You have to keep that lane as safe as possible.
Yeah.
You have to make sure they can dive their opponent. You know why? Fiora cannot team fight. Her team fight is awful. Her only win condition is split push, but she is so good at split pushing. She can dive almost anyone at 2 items if they're not at least on par with her.
So she's suffocating if she gets ahead, but then if she falls behind, it's kind of over. Which she kind of did this game. She was, I think, 0-2 she died to Camille twice. She was 0-2 10 minutes, 15 minutes in or something.
Yeah.
This was pretty much the only game. Yeah, this is the only game that G2 won.
TF as well. You're playing for against a team who wants to roam on you, who can roam on you. So it's just ego. I see no strategic thinking behind the Fiora pick.
Ego pick? All right.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. I mean, I think we look at the results and they kind of deserve to get an ego pick, if you think about it.
I think they wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
Just a split pusher would look really good here, but I don't think Fiora.
Really? A split pusher against TF? And Camille?
They just thought that Silas would have ult every time. They were like, okay, well Silas can just match TF roam, so if you pick something that counters Camille, you win the 2v2 in theory. So
I mean, even this game where G2 got ahead early, it was still kind of rough. If you watch the game, Damwon was kind of coming back a little bit. It wasn't a perfect game, is what I'm saying. And Damwon had a lot more perfect games than G2. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Nuguri never built Merc Treads against a team with Leona TF. I was really tilted. I was because of what the people I was watching with were just he's just gonna parry every single CC ability. But once he gets hit by one thing, he just dies.
Yeah.
And you saw that every fight. But yeah.
Okay, game 3.
But G2 played well though.
We'll save that for the end. At the end, I want to ask a question G2 related, but let's go to the third game.
The Akali experiment.
The Akali. Okay, so I think there were 2 experiments here. I think they gave Showmaker Syndra and they were like, you know what, we got Caps Akali, we got it. And then the other thing was the Leona counter at this point was Pantheon, I guess.
Well, no, I don't think they picked Pantheon to counter Leona. I think they just thought that Pantheon was a stronger pick in this series, and because you have Jhin, Akali, Kindred already, they're like, okay, we're not playing a team fight anyway, so playing a pick-oriented champion is just better here.
Okay, fair. So, let's break down what happened in this Akali Syndra matchup. Like, was it just Showmaker gap? Don't give Showmaker Syndra.
I just don't think Akali can do much in this matchup against a good Syndra. I mean,
and they're playing the best Syndra.
Easily.
Syndra, like one of the best Syndra versus one of the best Akali. Syndra should be favored in 95% of the time. First of all, she's ranged. Second, she's ranged. She's better wave clear. She can CC Akali in her shroud.
Yeah.
And she can also play really safe if enemy sends a lot of people there. It's just confusing to me. I think someone brought it when we were talking about this before. Someone brought it. Might have been Steven, but I think someone brought it up. That Akali might have been a flex pick, and it was only flexed mid because they saw Lulu top. What I would like to see G2 do is instead of putting because Syndra and Lulu are both pretty doomed for Akali. Akali can't do anything into Lulu, and she gets punished versus Syndra. What I would like to see G2 do is just send Akali top lane, and just gank that lane. Just target, bully the Lulu, dive the Lulu. Just try to get Akali ahead in the lane. Because one advantage I see in G2's draft I see is that if Akali gets ahead, nobody can match her. Lulu can buy time, maybe, but Graves melts, Syndra melts, Ashe melts. So G2 definitely could have sent Akali top lane. Maybe but then the issue is who did they pick mid?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. What do you want against Showmaker?
I want to say TF, but TF and the Syndra sounds extremely painful.
That sounds dog.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
They can also just sack it and just play Gallia to play around top side, but that also incentivizes Merc Treads if they also have a Pantheons. I think, I guess G2 just didn't think it through when they picked Akali.
Okay. Wait, what? I remember looking into this game. I actually remember I didn't think G2's draft was that bad, and I don't think it was necessarily the reason that they lost this game. The thing is that Damwon's comp has to get ahead early. They cannot split. They have to front to back.
Yeah.
And into split comps with Akali, it's actually, if you have enough disengage, you can actually just not get picked by Ashe ulti. The issue, because they have Kindred too, they actually have a lot of ways to stall out fight. But I just think the Pantheon pick just is not a fit. I think if Akali and Pantheon were both, I think, they're like, okay, we need to snowball, but it's into a team that actually has a pretty strong mid game. And if you're just this game, Mickey kind of ran it. It was the big, he was very hard forcing plays. They're like, okay, we have Kindred Akali, we have to get them ahead early. And they were just hard forcing, with Mickey. It was 1-6, and there's times in the game where he's just Wing in, and then he just dies instantly. And then the Pantheon, if he isn't playing in a comp where he wants to get ahead early, he's just a useless pick. Yeah. I think we saw it that game, and Damwon played their pick comp extremely well, or I guess pick / team fight, because their team fight was also really good.
I think G2 top lane instead of Sion, I think one way they could have salvaged it is if they picked a carry top lane, and for the same reason as earlier, if they punished a Lulu. The more I look at it, the more I just don't think G2 is going to be winning team fights against Damwon with their comp. They have two carries with a lot of CC, and they have carries with a lot of CC, a lot of range. They have a Leona tank as well. They even have the super farm solo lane enchanter. What are you gonna do as Akali or Pantheon against that?
Nothing, dude. You jump in, you get polymorphed, and then you have to waste your W, and then you're done, and
Yeah.
then maybe jump again, and then you're caught. Like
The silent pick seems to be like an attempt to salvage some form of engage for G2, but it seems like, I don't think they should have done that. They should have just recognized
dude,
that.
the only
Okay, we don't want
but even if they're engaging, like if you there was like this one specific moment where I was like, oh, this is rough. Like even when you pick Sion onto this and you can engage and you're hoping that you have the better team fight, then you don't. Like you don't have the better team fight. Even like when like there was this one thing that there was this one specific moment where I was like, it was rough for me. Right. Wonder for some he ulted into like blue, like into the blue, like they were on river. He ulted in, and it was like a perfect fight for Damwon, just front to back. Just like the silent ultis like did nothing. I don't know. They just played like, I think on both sides of the draft that like G2 wanted to do, Damwon just played better and like outclassed them anyway. So like it didn't really matter.
I remember. I don't know what fight you're talking about. I remember watching it, and I was like, "Holy moly! G2 actually has like the perfect fight," and then they just got wiped. Yeah. I was like, "All right, it's so done. You can't get a better setup." They had caps on the flank too.
Yeah, I did do it.
I want to go off what I was saying. This is also something I want to say is that 2019 G2 would have pulled out an Aurelia or a Kled top lane, and they would have targeted that Lulu and pushed her into the ground, and then play off a 1-3-1. This is more of a general point about G2, but 2020 G2 is a lot weaker than 2019 G2. If anybody watched LEC, especially in the summer, they were incredibly sloppy. They ramped it up later on, but all their victories looked incredibly sloppy. Perks is nowhere near his 2019 form, and neither is Yankos. Even though I'd argue Caps has been looking better than he was in 2019.
Even the Shadow Leg getting delayed buff wasn't enough for them to get through semifinals.
Alright,
man.
The 2019 G2 would have went Aurelia, smashed that Lulu, and perma 1-3-1. Never grouped.
Okay.
And only looked for like skewed fights or something with numbers advantage.
Final game. The 19-minute banger. Banger of a game.
This game was legit. Like once the game was over, like once Showmaker killed Caps, it had to be miscommunication. There's no way Caps was like, I think I win this, and then just died solo. Like that's not something that happens or it shouldn't happen unless it's like super nerves. But I'm pretty sure it was miscommunication. And then, like, actually, I watched this game over again.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh, G2 was so tilted. Like, you can tell. They were so desperate to make plays. Like, they lose bot prio, and both junglers path to bottom, so they're going to fight for the bot crab. TF has prio, Caitlyn will have prio over Senna. Genko still tries to fight for the crab. He loses his flash fighting Canyon. Caps loses his life fighting Showmaker. I think Kindred gets 2 marks off of that. And then G2's like, shit, we're going to fall behind. We're so screwed at this game. Because Set can 1v2 Graves and Ornn.
Yeah.
So they're just like, all right, we can't give Herald. So they just send Perks and Mickey to Rift Herald, right? They're like, all right, we got the Herald, boys. But Ghost got like 5 unanswered plates. Solo plates. So he just got funneled like 1,200 gold. And they just like perma-sieged the game, and G2 had very little into this game.
Can we call Rift Herald MVP this game? I'd like to call Rift Herald MVP. That boy got so many plates, dude.
Not when G2 used it. They got the top turret for Ornn. True. I was like, oh no, it's so doomed. But yeah, no, Damwon played this game really, really well. And, like, I think you could tell G2 was like hella tilted / panicked.
I don't know. I always feel like the marker. Sorry, Lincoln. I don't want to.
No, go for it.
I think one of the best whenever in any game really, one of the best markers for me as to like whether or not you're like a championship level team is like, can you execute these perfect games? Like, can you do these things where it's like, oh, this game you made like barely any mistakes and you took advantage of every single mistake that your opponent did well and like calmly, and you just executed a game plan. And I feel like they just executed I mean, G2 fed a little bit, but like they executed a game plan really well this game.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like, I think that's just going back to like our statements about Damwon in the beginning of the podcast, where it's just like they play not flawlessly, but near flawlessly. Yeah. They don't make mistakes. They capitalize on their opponents, and they do have a lot of those games where it's just like all 5 players show up and they're playing, on that highest level that they need to play.
Okay. One last question before we move on to the Suning games. Was this Damwon winning or G2 losing?
Damwon winning.
I don't think G2 was bad. Damwon, yeah, I have to agree. Damwon winning. Okay. They just played so well.
Game four, I'd argue a little bit of G2 losing, but at this point, Damwon was already winning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. Looking at G2's the way they played after the early game, I looked back at that game and they tried to get their way back into the game. They tried shit. They were like, a lot of times, you're losing Dragon, you trade top turret. That's actually I don't even think they made that many it's not the worst decision you can make. It's just that Damwon always anticipated okay, this is G2's window to make a comeback play, but let's not give it to them. It's just and then G2 is okay, we're just we have to we're just gonna lose. We have to bring the game back.
Okay.
So it's way more Damwon winning.
Fair. All right, Damwon winning. Damwon maybe predicted to go to the finals. Wait, they're already in the finals. They're predicted to win the whole thing.
Yes.
Now let's move to Top Esports and Suning. A really interesting match. Top Esports, probably the number 1 seed China-wise. Number 1 seed for a lot of people to win the tournament. A lot of people predicted a Top Esports Damwon Gaming final. But we're taken down by Suning, the 3rd seed from China, from LPL. Probably the dark horse of the tournament by a lot of people. What happened these games, guys, overall-wise? I didn't actually get to watch this much of this game.
Bot gap, hard bot gap.
Wait, Ben's so okay. Jackie Love. It always sucks to always just say, oh, the outcome of this series is decided because one player just sucks, and that's how. But Jackie Love got caught by everything.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep talking. Continue.
Yeah, but we were talking about it. Jace Wukong, feels like such a great pick in this matchup, and not only that, Ben played extraordinarily well. We mentioned, bot diff, Jackie Love getting hit by everything, but Ben, for at least a good chunk of the series, was on par or outplaying 369 in this matchup.
To be fair, they were giving Ben counterpick every single time.
Yeah. I mean,
from what I see, Jackie Love's getting his pick into Huanfeng. Is it every draft? Yeah.
Well, no, that was
almost every draft. Was game 1? No, other than game 1, every single draft, Jackie Love got his pick against Huanfeng. 369 got put into the gutter because he had to blind pick against a hard carry top laner.
Yeah, so that's rough, actually.
369 did what he can. He can only do so much when he's countered this hard by a hard carry, hyper aggressive top laner. And when your AD carry just fucking runs and ints like that, what can you do? What do you do? You're just crying, telling your AD carry to stop inting, and he's like, no.
No, I definitely just scanned through the list, and every game except for the one that Top Esports won, they did give Ben counterpick, and he picked 3 winning. Well, maybe not Jackson to Ornn, but he picked 2. I should definitely win this matchup counterpicks.
Yeah. I mean, even in this game, you got support counterpick too. Pantheon destroys for Khan, most of the time.
Yeah.
And Jackie Love was 3-0, and then because Ben had Triforce and DD, he just flashed on him in a fight. Top had 3 dragons. They're all right, we're getting soul, guys. And then Ben just flashes on him. Jackie Love gets 1 shot, and there's 80 carries, LOL.
Yeah, I mean, only in a Chinese team kill will you see a game. Will you see a series where the team with 3 Drakes on Soul Point loses every game?
All right, sick. Let's go to the next game. I'll move through these fast because I want to get to a point. Okay. So, to be honest, I don't watch a lot of these games. I didn't have the time this week, but do you guys, what are the thoughts? I'm grazing through this.
Knight's a god. Knight literally steals 1 game for this series. I actually think Knight popped off so hard this game.
Knight was definitely carrying this team.
I
Like,
forgot what happened this game.
Honestly, it was like, oh wait, Suning scaling guys, and then top one fight. Like Knight just like actually 369 played really well too this game. They got a really good team fight. They got Baron, and then they ended the game at 29 minutes. Like Suning was playing to scale, and then they didn't quite get it.
I mean, they were playing to scale, but they had 3 early Drakes. Then Karsa and Knight, I think the combination of them stole the next 2 Drakes from Suning, and then they proceeded to win a team fight and end the game. So,
yeah.
Knight and Karsa were the best players from top esports in this series.
Sure.
Yeah,
But they still lost, so it doesn't really matter. All right, game 3.
They lost to bot diff.
Oh my god, no, this is bot
boy.
diff, hard
This
bot
is
diff.
bot diff.
Oh boy.
I mean, okay, we'll talk all about bot diff as well, but important thing to note: they got Bin counterpick Jackson to Renekton. They also picked River Shen, which was admittedly when they picked it was probably going to go top, whatever. Then they picked the Jax round R5, and you get the River Shen, and they ganked top lane a lot. Like I remember, I think it was at about 3 or 4 minutes into the game. Shen is up 2 camps on the Lee Sin. Lee Sin's trying to take Gromp. Shen contests Gromp. Lee Sin has to smite the Gromp for health, so Shen takes the Gromp. This is a 3-2 level advantage. He then follows Lee Sin towards top turret, flashes in, gets the taunt, and Bin and SOFM proceed to get a 2-0 on top side. And that's in a Jack's favored matchup. So, as much as it was bot diff, like the Shen being able to get Jack's an early lead in this matchup was really big as well.
I think that was on 369. If you in the replay, 369 was low. He was so low when they made the dive, and Renekton should. If you're a professional player, professional top laner, you should know that Jax wins that early game. So Renekton should be seeding that lane at least until level 4 or 5. There's no reason he should be walking up and letting Jax straight, because Bin was bonking on 369 really, really hard at Jax's early power spike. So yeah, he just shouldn't be that low, and he should also be well aware that the enemy is going to look to dive him, especially someone like SOFM. That was 369 misplaying, and then top's just done after that dive.
Yeah, and also like they had the Renekton was completely out of the game, and then Caitlyn died in the 2v2. Like they kind of Suning played it well, but I think top in that lane you can actually build a wave, so it's really hard for Leona to engage on you in the early levels. But they opted to just full shove wave first 2 waves, so it was in a even lane state at on just before level 3, and then Leona lands the E. They trade 80 carries, but the wave was good. Wave was pushing towards Ezreal, so Caitlyn just falls a wave or 2 behind. And because Ezreal got the kill, it was just super hard. Top had to win their lanes to win this game, and because their side laners just completely, just were completely out of the game. Yeah. No matter what Knight did, dude, this game, I just feel so bad for Knight. I remember last year, I was like, man, if Knight gets a real team, he's gonna win Worlds. And then we just here we are again. Knight's kind of just trying to salvage his side laners.
Yeah, and Knight played well, but top lane, Jax Renekton, you lost that early. Bot lane, Caitlyn Lux didn't get priority. And Caitlyn Lux didn't get priority. That's really big for a Caitlyn Lux lane.
Yeah, you could see Jackula was dying off cooldown.
Okay, game 4. Another Akali pick. J4.
Oh my god. SOFM is so smart. Can I
Yes, go nuts.
Yes,
go nuts. I was about to bring this up as a thing, because I was I feel like SOFM played a decent role in fucking dude. This guy, the Vietnamese god, dude. What a
they should have learned from North America. Never challenge a Vietnamese in a jungle.
How psycho? Okay, so Jarvan has terrible.
Okay, wait, that was good. Let's move on.
All right. SOFM is such a psycho. Like on Jarvan, he has no AoE abilities. He has his E and his Q. Like he has terrible AoE clear. He goes machete start. He goes. So usually the Jarvan clear is like red buff, blue buff, Gromp sometimes, and then gank.
Yeah.
This guy goes like, you know what? I know that their bot lane is gonna go for a 3-wave crash. Like they're gonna try and slow push the bot lane, get a crash, so that they can get bot scuttle.
Yeah.
What this guy does, he goes like, all right, so this kind of messes my clear, but he goes red Raptors Krugs, and then just like surprise ganks tops bot lane. They get a 3-for-1 out of the deal. So in a matchup where Ashe actually has really good push and Leon actually has a hard time getting in on Tahm Kench, they completely flip the matchup around, and it completely snowballs the early game. I was like, how does Top even die to this gank? And I'm like, wait, why is Jarvan bottom? Like, and he knew because Graves started top side, he goes to bot side, so it's not like Graves can take his top side camps.
Yeah.
Like, it was so good by SOFL. Like,
big brain.
I don't know. I was just like, wait. I would be like, if I was that bot lane, I'd be like, what the fuck is Jarvan doing in my lane? Wait, they started bottom and he just came bottom? But yeah, no, it was a really good play by SOFM, and they were like started the game 3-1. Akali got a kill. Ezreal got a kill. And he just kind of started the snowball for Suning.
Alex, your mic's like you're getting breathing.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, nice.
Better. I'm just surprised that after Jackalove's been into this whole series, they still decide to save Jackalove's pick for that late. Like, I don't know. Like, at this late in the series, you're on game point. Just why not just let 369 have counter pick again, you know? Play around 369. I mean, look what they pick. They pick Ashe, Tahm Kench. Like, what the fuck is that?
And like, it's such a
counter pick.
It's such a strange like bot lane choice to save it that late, because it's like, you know what the bot lane is. It's Ezreal, Leona. You know that Ezreal is, you know, one of the safest AD carries, if not the safest AD carry, just by himself. You know Leona's gonna look to engage on you. Like, you could have taken. I also don't know why you pick Ornn this early. But you could have taken a lot of different things as opposed to saving Ashe Tahm Kench for that late. Because, you know, Bin gets his Jax, which admittedly not as good into Ornn as, you know, a Renekton, but it's still a comfort pick for him, and it's something that he can carry on. So you have to look out for SOFM potentially ganking top to get the Jax ahead. And then SOFM, you know, does this crazy 5-head, 9,000 IQ play and ganks bot, and they get a 3-for-1 and, you know, helps snowball the game from there. But I just really don't like how much, you know, not necessarily priority, but like it felt like they were really drafting for JackeyLove to play well, and then JackeyLove just didn't play well. But I don't know why you would have done that when you saw that Jackie lane was getting exploited by, you know, Fnatic's bot lane in the semifinals as well up to this point.
I mean, Jack has been playing well past like 6 games, 7 games even. You could argue.
Yeah, like that's just a true statement. Like, admittedly, Fnatic's bot lane was playing out of their minds in their semifinal or in their quarterfinal matchup against Suning or Top Esports, but JackeyLove, you know, even in play-ins, was getting bot gapped by Fnatic in those games too. So it really
Or talking about in group stage?
In group stage, Fnatic's bot lane was pretty solid into JackeyLove too.
I don't think Top played against. I think they played against Rogue.
No.
Wait, they played Top.
No,
DRX, FlyQuest, and they lost to FlyQuest.
I'm going off on some weird tangent. But I mean, JackeyLove didn't look good in their group stage games either. I mean, like, he didn't look terrible, but he didn't look like the god savior AD carry that this team is going to build around.
Okay, let's stop right there, because I still want to discuss like one more topic before we go off. So this game, Suning win or TS lose?
See, I'm gonna give you the smartest answer of both, but it's hard because I actually think Top Esports like kind of underperformed this Worlds.
I'm gonna say
like,
TS lose. Yeah.
Like, I think it's just like the way these early games went. It's just not acceptable. Like, they have like these strong lanes, or they like have the ways to win. It's just like they just misexecute, or they don't expect like a certain play to happen. And a lot of these fights, like the games were even. Like games 3 and 4 were game 3 was less so because like it was just waiting for suiting to scale up.
Mm-hmm.
But in this game 4 and like game 4 and game 2 were really close, and it just came down to like, you know, these slight picks, or like people just getting picked off, like specifically Jackie Love getting picked off. And yeah, it just felt weird. Like this happened with G2 also, but it's like they're just like playing scaling now. They're just like, oh shit, we're losing, let's just pick Ornn, and we just play to scale and hope you fuck up. And it's not like how they played, I think. And I mean, did they play like that in LPL? Like, remember they picked a lot of like
super aggressive in LPL.
Yeah, like they would pick like Nidalee and shit. Like,
yeah,
I guess Nidalee was banned this series, but it's like when Carson like Lee Sin, you know, it's like they kind of defaulted back to this like, okay, we're gonna play Tom Kench, we're gonna play, you know, Ornn, we're gonna play Graves, we're gonna play Orianna, and
like
just
this
scale.
whole like, oh, we won't like, we're playing like stable, but we're not actually playing for anything either. We just hope that you kind of fuck up and we can take advantage of that. Like you're playing not to lose. And you're playing like you're playing not to lose instead of to win.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about everybody else?
No, I think I agree with that. I think Top didn't play the way that they, you know, were playing in LPL, and the way that a lot of people were heralding them to play going into Worlds. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily surprised. I think from the quarterfinals and even from play-ins, I liked Suning a lot in terms of just like their team and their play style, but I don't know if I would have predicted them. And I mean, I didn't predict them to win this series. So
yeah, I don't remember what your guys' predictions were, to be honest. But
I think I said top 3-1, and I just said it like if Suning win, it's gonna be off a huge like difference in bot lane.
yeah. I think I
thought Bin was 2 coin flip, but honestly, Bin actually popped off this series. So. Although I was wrong on both my predictions for semifinals,
you took the spicy ones. Did you gotta like give yourself credit? Yeah. Anyway, Alex, any final thoughts?
No, I'm not gonna say TS underperformed. I'm gonna say Jackie Love and Yuyanja massively underperformed.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that they got taken at 5 greens by Fnatic, and then the fact that they lost to Suning through bot gap is just, I don't know, it's kind of unacceptable for me.
Okay.
How do you get so much priority in draft yet still fuck up so hard? How do you shove 3? Why does the coach choose to shove 369 under the bus and keep giving draft priority to Jack Love and Yuyanja, only for them to into the way every time?
I actually don't think they entered this game 4 specifically. They actually got a lot of picks with the Ashe ultimate, but then in team fights it was just like, it was a disaster.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why the Ashe can't just pick that late, but whatever.
Alex wants, top gap to happen. Nothing new. All right.
Alex has been that top laner. He's been all right. Or what are you on, Ord, buddy?
Let's switch off the stream, Trivia Boy, and I want to do one last question before we head out. I want to put all of our nice looking faces together. How do I? Okay, close stream. All right, sick. We're back here. It's time for predictions, guys. It's grand finals time, baby. It's Suning. It's Damwon. What do we got? Who are we thinking? The Suning have a chance, pretty much is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I would say...
Oh, Steven, you go.
No.
All right, if it's a safe pick, like, I know the safe pick for everyone is 3-1. Oh,
3-1 is the most safe pick. I'm going to go a little bit spicier than that. I'm going to say 3-0 Damwon.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
I don't think that Damwon will lose. Like, maybe I'm gonna overhype them. The thing is, the only thing that I can see, like, Damwon used to be they used to be scrim gods, but be terrible on stage, or like have a significant drop off on stage. And there is an audience for this finals. So if Damwon gets super nervous on stage, or they're like, oh, we can't really play well on stage, it might be a closer series. Like, that's the only thing I think going into it, or that's the main thing I think going into it that might change how these teams play. Like, oh, maybe they get more nervous when there's 10,000 people watching, and
so
you
the
can feel the
only way
crowd.
that Suning win this finals is if Damwon gets stage fright, is what you're saying.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Or they I genuinely think Damwon is just on another level compared to Suning. And Suning isn't a bad team at all.
Yeah.
It's just Damwon plays so Damwon's just so good.
That's a mood. All right, everybody else, what do you think?
Okay, I have two to pass I can take.
Okay.
I can either think with my brain or my heart. So, my brain tells me what Steven said. Damwon 3-0. They're just their fundamentals are just absolutely insane. Once draft is over, once champion select's over, they know what they want to do and they execute it near flawlessly. It's really hard to find any flaws with how they execute their comp or execute their draft. So any win-suiting takeoff of Damwon have to be through Draft Kingdom, which honestly that's equally unlikely to happen with just with how versatile Damwon is. My heart tells me I want Suning to win. I want to be a close series, 3-2. I want to be a close series with Suning etches it out, And I mean, Suning do have strong points, SOF. Imagine how SOFM must be so tilting to play against as a jungler. You'd never expect where he's gonna be. He always pulls off these insane plays, and fucking Bin too. Bin just this bloodthirsty rookie who just fucking smashes people in the top lane. And yeah, it's not like Suning have no avenues to win. It's just that they're gonna have to punish Damwon on the smallest, the tiniest mistakes. And I still think most of if they ever win at all, it has to come through draft diff. But my heart, I'm gonna follow my heart and say Suning 3-2 because why not?
Ooh.
But my brain says Damwon 3-0.
All right, Lincoln.
Okay, I mean, everyone's picking with their heart and not their brain, and my brain's telling me something like a 3-1 Damwon. I'll say 3-2. I'll say 3-2 for Damwon.
Ooh.
I think if if Suning can get counterpick for Bin in at least one game, I think there is a very real opportunity for Bin to get ahead through some creative plays from SOFM, or just some level of, oh my god, this guy is insane in lane. And if he can get ahead against Nuguri, I think Bin has the chance on something like a Jax or a Gangplank to be able to carry his team through one game. And then a second game, we will say that One Fung pops the hell off and can somehow out 2v2 Damwon's spot lane, and then scales up in a team fight. But I would be very comfortable saying 3-1. I think Suning has the pieces in place to make it a close series, but I'll say 3-2. I don't think I'm right, but I think Suning has a very real chance to make this look competitive.
Okay. So
can I interject one more point?
Yeah.
I'm not sure who gets side selection first game, but if Suning get red side, I actually think they have a much better chance of taking a game on red side than taking a game on blue side. I think Damwon, it's almost has to be on red side. I think if they're gonna take a game.
I think if they take a game at all, it's going to be red side because they can save counterpick. Yeah.
Okay, so the reasons that Suning could win listed properly. Steven says stage fright.
Audience buff.
He says stage fright. So these are the conditions that are needed for Damwon to lose in this final. They walk on stage and are like, "Fuck, we're in World Finals," and then everyone gets really scared, right? And then somehow, by some miracle, Suning execute Draft Kingdom, LS looks at the draft and is like, yes, this is what I want every single game, and is happy. And Bin gets counterpick and somehow beats Nuggery in lane 3 out of 5 times.
I think you're also underrating this. Like, okay, it's not just stage fright. They're also playing in China. Like, come on, playing as the away team is super hard. I feel like. Like every time you mess up, you just hear a loud cheer.
It's sub 10,000. It's like 5 or 6 maybe.
I mean, they might pipe in noise. You know?
They're gonna probably pipe in noise.
They probably have like mute. They probably mute their. I mean, they have really powerful noise canceling.
Dude, it doesn't matter. The noise canceling.
You can still hear them. Like,
yeah, you'll be able to.
I guess in the quarantine, it might be less loud, but I still feel like even like they'll still be loud and they'll probably pipe in noise.
Yeah,
but
I'm not calling your like thing shit. I'm just listing out like the reasons. Like Suning are clearly the underdog. Like I think we can all agree that what most of us don't want is to stay up at 3 a.m. in Pacific time and then have a 3-0 and go to sleep at 5, being severely disappointed. So let's just hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope they take one game. I don't think I'm staying up for this, but like hopefully the people that do will have some sort of relief. Yeah, we were planning to do a live viewing, but it's still up in the air. We're gonna see. Anyway. So, that's what we have for this week. It's going to be a little shorter than usual. But yeah, we got through all of the games, and probably next week, what we're going to do is obviously talk about finals and then talk more about free agency. We were going to talk about Bjergsen retiring, but maybe we'll save that for next week when we have more time. So yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thanks to my friends for coming and talking about Worlds. We'll see you guys next time. Peace. All right. That was like an hour, pretty much.
Yeah, that's fine.
Flat. Yeah.
I think we might have